Chapter 8. The Root. I've made it a point to have my children practice meditation, focus on training the thought system, and defend against the parasite for as long as I can remember, not without hesitation. Although I know that spiritual knowledge is the key to freedom, I also understand if they ever stop meditating, the beast will attempt to trap them in a web of constant judgment with more aggression than it would someone unaware of the truth. Unfortunately, in times of despair, I have questioned if God's invisible hand over my life was more of a burden than a gift. During moments of trial and tribulation, I have pondered if I would have been better off understanding universal law and living for instant gratification instead of the greater good or service of all. Since I have not fully atoned and do not live in complete peace, harmony, and happiness, I've pondered if starting my kids on the path of atonement was best, because if they ever wavered, the enemy would not show mercy. It wasn't until recently that I removed the smallest seed of doubt about their introduction to universal knowledge at such an early age. I was sitting in my living room when my youngest daughter came running frantically down the steps and said that her older sister had her toe caught in a chair. I immediately ran up the stairs to their bedroom to check on her. When I walked in, my older daughter had one of the most frightening faces I had ever seen on her. I knew instantly that it wasn't a big deal and that she could remove her toe reasonably quickly. I said, "What do you say?" She began repeating, "I am calm, I am relaxed." And within seconds, her eyes widened, and she had a look of shock, awe, and amazement as she lifted her toe out of the leg of the chair. I asked her why her face lit up that way, and she said, "I started thinking I will remove my toe easily, and I knew what to do." The way her face lit up when intuition set in was inspirational and comforting. My daughters think proactively often, but usually it's for insignificant situations like finding a lost item. Hence, it's rare that I have an opportunity to witness them become so thankful for how I teach them to think. I understood that this would probably not be the last time she found herself caught in a dilemma and would need to activate spiritual insight to pursue freedom. I will never question the decision to impart spiritual wisdom at an early age again. Eventually, my daughter asked me if removing her toe was based on spiritual knowledge or instinct, and if there was a difference. I told her that that was a great question, and because of it, I would add this story to the book I was writing. At the time, I wasn't entirely sure how to explain the difference, so I thought I will know easily and waited for revelation. I began to explain if removing her toe was instinctual, she would have released it as soon as it was caught and without thinking proactively. I explained that instinct influences the species through the collective subconscious or soul downloaded in our genetic software. Also, that instinct comes from evolution or nurture, not nature, and that her instincts are limited to other earthly beings' past experiences, whereas spiritual intuition, insight, and discernment come through the Holy Spirit and is universal knowledge. She, or the parasite, stated that she didn't think of how to remove her toe. It just happened, instinctively, after she thought, I will remove it easily. I explained that the act of proactive thinking was calling on the Holy Spirit within to upload universal knowledge directly into the spirit, so thought was not necessary. She just knew. Just as our instincts or the species' collective soul can assist us in staying clear of compromising situations, it can also cause unfathomable harm through dogmatic, conditioned misinformation passed down generationally. The most negative predisposition within us is the collective agreement to idolize money. Money is so detrimental because most feel it represents freedom from suffering and the key to survival. The parasite has made it instinctual to associate money with eliminating emotional pain, which is only possible in atonement. Most individuals believe that money is the missing link to any desired outcome. If you are lonely, money can buy companionship. Hungry, money is food. Thirsty, money is water. Depressed, money is peace, and so on. Although money can buy most things, there are infinite ways to manifest destiny. So we should trust in universal law to create abundance, rather than restricting the flow of spiritual energy by focusing on acquiring money exclusively. Money has been represented by many things over the past 2,000 years, depending on your geographic location. As the world transitioned from feudalism to capitalism, money became a primary staple in human interaction. During feudalism, farmers paid a food tax because technically all of the lands belonged to the elite. The working class was subject to servitude, famine, and degradation regularly. More money has represented freedom from inhumane living conditions and authoritarian control of the life experience for ages. Society has significantly advanced. However, money has only grown stronger in its control over human expression. Money has become such a pillar in our lives because it erroneously signifies freedom. Those who are not aware of their spiritual nature or the ability to manifest reality view money as the primary means to a life of privilege, access to things, self-governance, and liberty to use their time as they see fit. The ability to be independent and not have to exchange labor or time for money is a determining factor in the addiction to the worship of it. Due to the separation, the parasite has created fear around death, so existence appears to be a function of time. For this reason, people work vigorously and take many risks to stop trading limited time for money. Money has no real or intrinsic value, but free time is invaluable when it is mistakenly associated with being a precursor to the end of life. So for many, worshiping money is akin to worshiping life in general. Some believe in the opportunity to make as much money as they can imagine, and when they do, they will be free. It is not true that the working class can acquire money independent of market makers and can attain limitless amounts of money. In modern society, entrepreneurship seems like the ability to create infinite wealth. While I agree that ownership provides the potential for economic freedom, a system supervises money. Monetary policy is discretionary, and individuals can restrict any business's ability to access capital, no matter the size, when the money supply contracts. Forces regulate the amount of traditional money made available for public acquisition and consumption to sustain economic growth and poverty. Furthermore, with inflation, money will continue to lose value over time. So not only are there limitations on how much you can acquire, it will continue to provide fewer things. Money is the figurative carrot floated at the beast's nose, keeping it chasing its tail while the parasite dangles the string. Money will never create happiness, peace, bliss, or emotional security for most of society because nothing but atonement can. Unfortunately, only those who have discovered the higher mental state or the few selves with unlimited access know that without a doubt. There will always be poverty, wealth disparity, haves and have-nots under the current monetary system. So it is not sustainable to continue justifying the addiction to the worship of money because it will never represent freedom for most beings. On the contrary, more things will usually lead to more pain. Money buys things that the parasite uses to facilitate identity attachment to external objects. When you are mentally, physically, or emotionally attached to anything within the world, it can limit spiritual power by influencing your thoughts and feelings. Some form an addiction to the social status, parasitic pride, and the egoic enlargement that access to more things provide, rather than the things themselves, furthering the parasite's control of their identity. As long as you search for salvation through anything external, you create the potential for emotional suffering. Extensive access to money or things in a population encourages separation, division, and individuality, promoting incivility. Societies without many things to attach to tend to spend more time enjoying each other, facilitating harmony. Furthermore, civilizations with an excess of things create super or supreme parasites. Money creates the super parasite by giving a few individuals enormous amounts of power and influence over the majority's lives. Many super parasites are aware of spiritual knowledge. They may even be aware that the devil leads them. But the addiction to earthly power makes them indifferent to destruction and chaos. These parasites have no desire to pursue atonement because they idolize the pseudo-identification of a worldly God that the control of people represents. Atonement is real divine power with the ability to influence time and space. However, controlling money gives you authority over the money addicts that worship it. Since humans are the only earthly beings with the power to atone fully and manifest destiny, controlling spiritual beings is empowering because you are directing their will and energy for your outcomes. Their brains induce them to identify with this power and tricks them into believing it is their rightful place to lead, control, direct, and administer their will over the parasitic social hierarchy. Identifying with power over other individuals and the financial means to influence activity on a large scale makes their brains a super parasite. Super parasites have successfully installed a parasitic culture where the pursuit of money indiscriminately is just regardless of the consequences. That is evident based on the economic system built on the premise that anything lawful is acceptable if you act to benefit shareholders, irrespective of who and what you destroy in the process. The collective parasitic culture has formed an addiction to the worship of money because of the power, freedom, and happiness those with enormous amounts of money appear to have. Only God can offer real freedom, power, and happiness. However, the parasite uses money as the substitute because it serves as a replacement for atonement and separation. Money is such a powerful attachment because it influences the entire beast rather than just a mental affliction like most things. Constructs like earthly power and freedom affect the brain mostly. However, money represents the key to happiness, a much deeper experience within the body with feeling, affecting emotional energy. Scientists have hypothesized that money, sex, and drugs affect the brain on a deeper level than most other attachments. I believe this is due to their effect on the entire beast. Also, the parasite influences the body by dangling the illusion of removing unhappiness or bad feelings with it. True happiness is only available in atonement and is an eternal feeling of joy that comes with a connection to God. Many mistake happiness as moments when negative feelings are not present. The parasite is dormant and your vibrational frequency is positive. Even though this illusion of happiness is temporary, many pursue it at all costs. The pursuit of happiness can subjugate the pursuit of money because they are both substitutes for atonement. The fleeting feeling of enthusiasm the beast manipulates you with, that mask as happiness, comes from externalities like power over people, others' influence, or acquisition of things. True happiness with atonement is related to internal conquest and is a combination of love, bliss, peace, abundance, and a life without fear. The feeling of perpetual happiness is another thing you lost during the separation and innately miss. The spiritual being feels worthless without joy and is continuously searching for something to make it feel good again. The parasite is well aware of this disconnect and uses the feeling of emptiness and unhappiness from the separation to induce the addiction to the worship of money. Money has such a dominating effect over the mind of the beast that many working class people have substituted the pursuit of money with the perception of having it to increase social status and influence over others. If people are successful in convincing others they are better off financially, then it could give a temporary sense of relief from unhappiness, even when they are completely broke. When you atone, you know that everything is divine and equal, but the parasite is continually attempting to isolate you when you exist as a beast. For that reason, everyone competes with other people to some degree. That causes you to feel good when you are doing better than those around you or successfully giving the appearance you are. Many people are so infatuated with the idea of having money that they don't need any to be satisfied. Money is so deeply rooted within the collective subconscious or soul that the false perception of having access to it can trigger positive emotional and mental reactions in the body and brain. Suppose you believe enough people think you have money to increase your position in the parasitic social subculture you care about most. In that case, that can be enough to give you a temporary sense of relief from unhappiness. More importantly, it doesn't have to be accurate. It doesn't matter if no one believes you have lots of money. The parasite just needs you to think they do, to begin creating identification with a new, more complex, illusory idea of the self. Social media has made this phenomenon much worse than years past because the parasite has many identifying with false identities created in virtual reality, in addition to actual mental attachments. For example, individuals posting pictures of cars they don't own or photoshopping their likeness onto a vacation picture. Often the people that they're attempting to appear better than believe these are false images. But that doesn't matter because the parasite's objective is for you to identify with the virtual persona. That allows the parasite to trap you in a conundrum of maintaining the fragile identification with an illusion of social dominance based on illegitimate information while manipulating your feelings. The addiction to the worship of money is so deep in the collective subconscious that pretending to have it can affect your self-worth almost as much as actually having it can. The parasite works to make you value your financial net worth over self-worth. If you can't increase the actual net worth enough to influence your environment, many people settle for fabricated internet worth in modern society. Therefore, it's no surprise if they feel worthless without as much actual money as they would like or pretend to have. Something makes you feel worth less when you idolize it or allow it to determine how you measure yourself. If you value anything over your life, killing for it can be justified in the mind. For that reason, money is continuously contributing to the destruction of societies. There is nothing else on the planet that the parasite uses to manipulate the beast into hurting others more than the addiction to money worship. When your self-worth is dependent on money, you're constantly comparing yourself to others' financial status and the manifestation of things in your parasitic social network. The parasite uses others who appear to have more as proof that you're worth less. Even if you have acquired many things and feel that there is much to be grateful for now, that can all change if you witness someone else doing, getting, having, or becoming something you perceive is worth more. Unfortunately, the deeper the relationship with the individual, the higher the level of competition you may have with them. So the success of people you know will take a more significant emotional toll, such as coworkers, ex-partners, classmates, etc. That's why family events and holidays have become so underwhelming in individualistic countries because they are geared mainly towards updating the financial scoreboard with the people closest to you. The collective social agreement that money signifies worth allows the parasite to use it against us all. Of all the clouds that can hover over the beast, money is the fiercest and most prevalent. It's the most dangerous because it has no end, and there is never enough to make you happy. But the more you acquire, the more attached you become. No amount of money will create eternal satisfaction, but the parasite will use things as a coping mechanism, inducing you to further your worship of it. The enemy isn't concerned with what you worship, just as long as you worship something outside you. Over time, the parasite has woven the addiction to money worship so deep into the collective soul that it serves as an idol. The parasite has positioned money above all within the mind over generations because it misrepresents what's available in atonement, such as peace of mind, freedom, and happiness. The parasite knows that these attributes are not available so long as it exists. Still, it needs you to idolize something external so that you don't attribute your emotional, mental, and physical issues to anything directly within your control, such as its demise. To show the depths of how successful the parasite has been in attaching money to the beast, consider that even religious believers think that paying the church will give them favor with God. While I understand that tithing may have some value due to universal law, it is unequivocally false that God commands you to share any portion of your income to the church. I am not suggesting that offering money to a church is unreasonable or unnecessary, but it should never be required, or a certain percentage of income cannot buy salvation. Besides, the wealth accumulation of churches and their leaders has become a false marker for the establishment's sanctity. The financial status of a church does not and will never signify God's approval of its teachings. Also, financial blessings or manifestations of individual pastors are not an indicator of God's support. Detachment from the root is more complicated than separation from other external objects because it has taken hold of the beast rather than just mental attachment. Moreover, the collective acceptance of its worship has given the parasite the ability to build a world that would seemingly fall apart without it. It will take a combination of every tool in the spiritual tool belt to control the emotional and mental effects money has on the body and brain. I am not sure it's possible to completely rid ourselves of money worship addiction without full atonement. The Bible says we were born in sin for many reasons, like the parasite's rule, being born in separation, reactive instinctual thought system, and the genetic software passed down into the subconscious. However, the fact that the parasite has created a world where the infinite spiritual being's worth depends on a finite object is sinful too. When you exist in the higher mental state, you can use and access money without attachment. Still, it takes discipline to ensure the acquisition of money does not positively affect your emotional energy. If you allow the attainment of money to create good feelings, it is unquestionable that the loss or removal of money will make you feel bad. It's difficult not to be enthusiastic about getting more money because it does provide many external pleasures, like the means to travel, protect your family, buy things, and achieve goals. In a better world, money would not exist and would not restrict or improve life quality. But the social parasitic hierarchy reigns supreme in separation. Therefore, the most effective means of detaching from money is to disconnect from the external world entirely. You do not have to atone to live in detachment fully. While living in complete mental silence with the full authority of the body and brain is essential to identify as a spiritual being, holistic detachment is necessary. Holistic detachment is disconnecting emotionally from external objects and taking absolute authority over your emotion, vibrations, and energy. It is to experience life knowing that it is a matrix or dream created for spiritual evolution as you travel throughout eternity. You must appreciate that as long as humanity exists in separation, pain, pressure, and people will build spiritual fortitude to prepare us for the ongoing internal battle. You must detach from the world to eliminate the root so future generations will not succumb to the instinctual, self-centered genetic software hardwired into the collective subconscious due to humanity living for the survival of the fittest, due to separation. The quality of life you pursue or what it means to be successful and accomplished can no longer be dependent on external phenomenon or collection of things, whether diplomas, followers, cars, homes, attention, notoriety, or anything that is not atonement. Money is the root of all evil, and things are the flower, spreading its seed throughout the soul. Mental attachment to anything will create the fear of losing that thing and disturb your emotional energy or spiritual power. If you intend to fear no thing, you must love anything, detach from everything, and take dominion over all things. Things are all around you and are continually impressing on your thought system. The attachment to things is a natural occurrence due to the separation. When you began to perceive yourselves as separate from everything, you started to feel safer with the collection or possession of them. In atonement, there is no reason to hoard things because you can manifest destiny. In separation, you fear the unknown future, and things are a haven for danger, loss, and limitation. It is not the acquisition of things that is necessarily harmful, but the emotional and mental attachment to them that is detrimental. Like money, things give you temporary relief from unhappiness because the beast feels better as they are acquired. Quickly, the fleeting feeling wears off, and you are left feeling empty again, just to start searching for the next thing to make you feel better. However, until God removes money from society, spiritual beings will have no choice in working to manifest it. Nonetheless, as you affirm its attraction, you must vehemently deny its control over your vibrations. You must create it freely without attachment to the particulars of it. You should work internally to treat money just as you do other paper forms, whether writing paper, tissue, napkins, or newspaper. Use it as needed and don't focus on it otherwise. You should never use proactive sight to visualize money because it can further the instinctual obsession, but rather focus on the objects you would like to create. To pull out the root, you will need to grab hold of the flower. Detaching from things will start the process of recovering from the addiction to the worship of money.